Welcome to Montreal, the largest city in the province of Quebec and second largest in Canada. This city is a bustling centre of art, culture, film, television and music, and hosts the Montreal International Jazz Festival, the largest jazz festival in the world. However, for us race fans, the Ferrari Challenge will again support the Formula One Canadian Grand Prix on the 4.3-kilometre Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where a packed grid of Ferrari 296 Copa and Trofeo Pirelli drivers will be vying for victory, and they won't be the only Ferrari drivers hoping for success this weekend. Hello everyone and welcome to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. As you can see, overcast skies at the moment, but critically, the tarmac that you can see ahead of you is dry. I say for the moment because the weather can change here in a heartbeat and frequently does. So here we are then for the third round of our Ferrari Challenge 2024 here in North America. Having been to the Circuit of the Americas and Laguna Seca, here we are at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in support of Formula One, ahead of Watkins Glen International, Sonoma Raceway, Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Imola for the Finale Mondiale mid-October. So a fantastic calendar made possible by the wonderful people at Ferrari, and the racing on track, as always, wonderful from Ferrari Challenge. And here indeed is the circuit then, 4.361 kilometres, 14 turns, 6 of them left, 8 of them are right-handers. And wow, what a circuit it is to enjoy, and I have to say, all our Ferrari Challenge drivers love being here in Montreal. So the track is something of a challenge for the drivers, forgive the pun, but they really love that challenge. And we're expecting to see 2 brilliant races across the course of this weekend. Of course, qualifying to get us underway, which is precisely why you're with us now. And we're delighted that you have joined us for the first of our qualifying sessions to get underway. Pretty early here in Montreal, so yeah, very, very good indeed. You can see we're standing by for the cars to make it out there on the track, and when they do, well, it's a short, sharp qualifying session for our mix of Pirelli Am drivers, Shell, and Shell Am drivers as well. Awesome stuff. So, who is doing the winning then? Well, of course, it's been a very, very good season for a number of drivers already this season. Before we get into who's going to do what today, the track temperature is currently 22 degrees, air temperature is 16. We have 89% humidity and just a flutter of 5 kilometers per hour of wind. That is what we have currently. And the Ferrari Challenge then here in North America. I recall with some joy last year how entertaining Montreal was for all sorts of different reasons. And alongside me once again is Shay Adam. Hello, Shay.
Hello, Dave, and hello, Ferrari fans around the world. The best news of all being that it is not raining today, and it looks like the Ferrari gods have smiled upon us and said, yes, today shall be dry for everybody. We have 34 cars waiting to go out for qualifying, and Dave, you started to get into what a fantastic season it's been so far. Very, very tight at the top of the championship battle for Trofeo Pirelli between Dylan Medler, a young man out of Miami, Florida, and Roberto Perena, a man out of Seattle. So we have 2 drivers who are not afraid of the wet stuff if it does happen to come down.
No, that's a very good point and very well made. Yes, you're absolutely right. So going to be very, very interesting. And yes, I remember, and you know, you shouldn't have when we have so many memories, but one sticks in my mind from last year, and that is, of course, of Martin Burrows. Who was absolutely awesome here last year as we take a look at just some of the testing parts of the circuit, which will form part of qualifying and, of course, the races to come as well. Pretty narrow in parts and very unforgiving barriers and walls, etc., etc., etc. All that to really enjoy here at the Montreal circuit, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve then, and some beautiful images of the city as well as the cars are released. And here we go then. This is the real deal. This is qualifying. Now, not only do we have all of our cars out there for the qualifying session in one hit, as it were,
Yes.
but, of course, for every driver, grid position is critical. Not only that, when it comes to the end of the season, when there is a point available for pole position in each of our categories, then that actually forms quite an important part as well. I remind you that we have Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am, we have Shell and we have Shell Am. Really easy to identify who is driving in which class because they all have different strips across the top of the windscreen in terms of colour. And if it's red, it's a Pirelli driver. If it's white, it's a Pirelli Am driver. If it's yellow, as you can see right now, it's a Shell driver. And if it's black, it's a Shell Am driver. So, well, it's going to be a packed 4.361 kilometres, Shay Adam.
Yeah, it will. 2.71 miles with 34 cars going out around the track. And we often talk about the color banners, Dave, and it's less important when you only have two categories in a race. But this being a short, sharp race and a short, sharp weekend means that the racetrack will be filled with cars for both races. The first one taking place later today. That's what this qualifying session is for. The next qualifying session in another, hour and a half's time, that will last for half an hour. And that will determine the grid for race number 2, which will take place tomorrow afternoon.
You're absolutely right. It's going to be very, very busy out there. So expect a couple of laps to get the drivers installed then in terms of this circuit before we see some times on our board. But those times are going to be ultra critical. Just yesterday, the weather conditions somewhat different to today as we look at the car of Omar Balkasoon for Ferrari of Fort Lauderdale. And here we can see the cars making their way tentatively then in the first meters as they get underway. As I mentioned, the weather yesterday, we experienced something of a hailstorm. So I did say at the beginning of the program that the weather here can change in a heartbeat and frequently does. So here we go then. Let's get this qualifying session underway. It goes very, very quickly. As you can see from the clock at the top of the screen on the left-hand side, just 27.25 minutes remaining as we look at one of the shining stars, young whippersnapper that he is, Dylan Medler, who drives for the collection. Now, Dylan Medler has had something of a fantastic start to the season, with a win in the opening round, then a P8, which will gloss over that, but then 2 P2s were taken at Laguna Seca in Monterey. So Dylan Medler is in a very good position, Shay.
It really is. And Dave, we talk about the bonus points at the beginning of this. Well, you get the bonus point for the pole position. You also get bonus points for fast lap. And Dylan Medler has gotten 2 of those so far this season out of the 4 races. He's really putting together a nice run for this championship. But what has he not earned yet? That would be a pole position. Does it change today? Does it change in this session? Well, he's been fastest so far the weekend. Let's see if he can keep that form alive.
If ever you've put any pressure on anyone, you've done it now, haven't you?
Oh.
So, let's see what he's going to be able to do as we look at Osvaldo Gallo here. And there is Dylan Medler already, you see. And this is something that Shay and I have talked about. Traffic is going to be something that you're going to have to navigate during this qualifying session, and not only during the qualifying session, but potentially in the race as well. So it's every driver will do their level best, Shay, to get out of the way that for any driver that's on a hot lap. But what you can't do, Shay, is you can't make your Ferrari 296 just disappear.
Oh, no, you can't just push that invisibility cloak button and get out of the way entirely of faster drivers. This Medler comes through 13-14 back onto the start-finish straight, and now I believe his Pirelli tires will be perfectly up to operating temperature, so this should be the first flying lap we see from him. But as you mentioned, Osvaldo Gallo just appeared. That wasn't intentional. That wasn't getting in the way. It's just him going about his own qualifying session, and with 34 Ferraris on the track, we're going to see quite a lot of that.
Yes, and of course every driver has got his own strategy and has decided how they're going to deal with this qualifying session. Who will go early, who will go late, and Dave Musial Jr. then, who I was delighted to see make it to the podium in the second race at Laguna Seca. He took a P3 and richly deserved as well. He is just one part, of course, of the Musial family that contests the Ferrari Challenge North America. His father, David Musial, I'm reluctant to say senior because he'll slap me for that, but it is David Musial Senior. And David Musial, as he's affectionately known with us, Shay, as 2.0.
And 2.0 is our most recent pole winner, having claimed the pole position at Laguna Seca, as you rightly said. So it's exciting for Dave to get back out to a qualifying session with that extra burst of confidence, knowing that he is quick enough to be the first car on the starting grid. And where better place do you want to start than on the tight, windy course of Montreal? But P1, 2.0 knows that. He also knows that he gets ice cream as a reward when he does things well, and there is very good ice cream to be found in Montreal.
There's incentive if ever there was one. As we continue to watch then, and well, we have got some times on the clock. Meaningful? Not necessarily, because we're expecting the times to come down, but just to give you the order at the moment, Matthias Perez Companc is quickest for Ferrari of Central Florida. Actually, scratch that, as 2.0 goes quickest with a 1:39.753. 1:39.753 for Dave Musial Jr. then, one of our Trofeo Pirelli stars. Now, local driver Martin Burrows, who I was waxing lyrical about his performance here in Montreal last year, he has gone third fastest.
That was a great lap from 2.0, and he did get a little bit of an assist from a draft coming across the start-finish line, so really pleased to see that cars not getting in each other's way and actually benefiting one another. In the Shell category, it's now Rob McWilliams who's jumped up to P1 in car 123 for Ferrari of Washington, and in Shell Am, it's Roger Monteforte continuing on his fine string of form for Ferrari of Central New Jersey, leading Dana Goodwin. So two drivers heading up the front of the field in Shell Am, who are very much competitors for this full season-long championship. They're looking for that bonus point for the pole position.
I love this camera angle where we can see the 296s at their best. They're almost hugging the wall around this tight and relatively twisty Montreal circuit. Then as we watch Brandon Cruz right now for Ferrari of Central Florida. Now, within class, he is currently third fastest because he drives in Pirelli Am. And you can identify that from the white strip across the top of the windscreen. He's 1:41.569, enough to give him third in class at the moment. Dylan Medler, the collection driver, is the first driver that has posted a sub 1:39 time with a 1:38.989. So well done to Dylan Medler, who continues his upward trajectory as once again traffic proves that it's going to be pretty tight out there for the remaining 22 minutes of this qualifying one session. Qualifying one, of course, will set the grid for race one to come a little bit later today. It's Medler from Musial Jr. from Companc in terms of Trofeo Pirelli for the Shell drivers. Again, another driver, Shay, that should benefit from a rich vein of form. I was going to say it's Eric Marston, but actually he's just been usurped by Cyril Choksi, who of course has got to right the wrongs of Laguna Seca, Shay.
Yes, for Cyril Choksi, the season started out fantastic at Circuit of the Americas. It was almost a dream weekend for Cyril, working with a new coach this year. He was second in the first race with pole position and a fastest lap. He got pole position in race number 2 and the race win. And then at Laguna Seca did not start the first race of the weekend. Finished out the weekend with a 4th place, so didn't get to the podium as Brandon Cruz is pulled off with an issue of some sort, waiting to rejoin the track. But for Cyril Choksi, he needs literally every point he could possibly scrape or earn by any form or fashion. Brandon Cruz did manage to rejoin, thankfully. Looks like he'll be able to get going, and it was very early on in the lap, so glad to see him able to recover. But Cyril needs this pole position more than anyone else in the field, Dave.
I agree with you. Now, Shay, to go back to Laguna Seca as we continue to watch everyone here at Montreal, I want to make mention of the fact that I felt Jerry Walters, Bubbles as she's known, was really, really unlucky in Laguna Seca. She proved the pace that she's got. She's proving that today, Shay, because she is the quickest of the Shell Am drivers.
She's been on it this weekend, Dave. Oh, actually, no. She's been on it all year. This 296 really suits her driving style.
Whoa.
And representing Ferrari of Vancouver, that's added extra incentive for Bubbles to do well, as we see what caused Brandon Cruz to go around. Looks like he just looped it on his own in turn one.
Yes, that replay then. So the Ferrari of Seattle driver, Brian Cook, is the quickest of the Pirelli Am drivers. Cyril Choksi, quickest of the Shell drivers. It's Matthias Compank then who's quickest for the Pirelli drivers. And as we were saying, Jerry Walters, the quickest of the Shell Am, just to keep you up to date with who's doing what and where in this qualifying session, of which, well, pretty nearly the first third of that is done. Here is the 158 car, which is one of the more distinctive cars of Bruce Cleveland. Now, Bruce Cleveland moved up to the Shell category this year, and Bruce Cleveland with perhaps not the showing that we expect from Bruce Cleveland across the first 4 races that we have seen. Will he put it all together here in Montreal? We will see. His best finish, a P5, which came in the second race at Laguna Seca. So Bruce Cleveland then, who gets awfully close to one of our cameras there and through the chicane and is about to bank a lap here. Now, where is Bruce in terms of the timing at the moment? Well, let's let him bank this lap and see where he is sitting. Probably further down the order than he would like. It's P8 within class shape.
Yeah, and for Bruce Cleveland, as you said, moving up to the Shell class once again this year. He started off in Shell last year, but then he became a real serious competitor for the Shell AM Championship. We just want to see Bruce Cleveland doing well once again, as now we see another guy, John Horsch, who really found form at Circuit of the Americas to start off the year. John, getting his first ever pole position in class, was thrilled. Now, he's another guy who hasn't had the rub of good luck so far, but representing Ferrari of Vancouver, another one of these Canadian dealerships, could this be the weekend where all of a sudden we see some good luck for John Horsch?
And there's nowhere he would like to shine more than here as he comes into centre shot right now in the all-black, mean-looking Ferrari 296 challenge car here. We're live from Montreal. This is qualifying 1 to set the grid for race 1. It's come a little bit later today. It's Dylan Medler, who's the quickest driver in Pirelli. It's Cyril Choksi, who's quickest in Shell. For Pirelli Am, it's Tony Davis now, the Continental Autosports driver, who is quickest. And for our Shell Am drivers, it's Dana Goodwin, the Ferrari of Seattle driver, who is P1 at the moment. Expect all that to change, though. We've got 17 and a half minutes of qualifying still to come from the circuit here in the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal. 14 turns, 6 left, and 8 right, as I mentioned right at the start of the program, and lots of drivers all keen to find as much space as they can. Now, we were talking about Dave Musial 2.0 just a little while ago. Of course, the driver of the number 30 car is Dave Musial Sr., and there he is. He also had a pretty good time of it, and has had a pretty good time of it across the season so far. He's been on the podium 3 times. The win has eluded him, Shay. Will that be changed, potentially, this weekend?
Very well could be, Dave. Dave Musial is a guy who's not only got one of the best liveries as far as the paddock's concerned, but a matching helmet paint job as well with the Joker on it, and Dave very much a Joker himself. He hasn't had the best performance in Montreal. In 2022, he was 7th in the first race and then did not finish the second, but we wait to see a good result as far as a win is concerned from Musial. Why not this weekend? Why not here? Why not now? I know Dave's ready for it.
Yeah, he is, and as you say, he's one of the jokers of the paddock, and I have to say the character traits across all our challenge drivers in the paddock makes it such a joy to be involved with as well. That truly lovely people, and you can see in the car just looking a little skiddy under braking there as he tries to max his haul out of this series and sequence of turns as he continues on his way. It's a packed pit lane as well here in Montreal. That sign or the image that you can see just below us here in Montreal then. And well, the cars are looking absolutely awesome and sound great and look great too as we pick out one of the more distinctive cars. And this is Jan Bernier, who opened the account this year with a win, of course, in class at the Circuit of the Americas. And he's banked a further P3 and a P2. Jan Bernier, I have to say, is really loving the 296 Challenge car. It really works with his driving style, and he is getting the best out of it.
Yeah, and he's a guy who is always got a smile on his face, but especially this year, running once again with the Ferrari of Seattle group. So he's got a very good team around him. And Jan Bernier with a great performance at Circuit of the Americas. He had a couple of races where he felt like maybe he didn't get the best run of the luck, but really happy to see Jan back in the series once again. He's become a bit of a perennial favorite. And Dave, standing on every single potential step of the podium so far this year. What's next for Jan Bernier?
You're absolutely right. So there he is in the 132 car then. And, of course, the Ferrari of Seattle driver, having had quite a good time of it thus far in 2024. Of course, the introduction of this wonderful Ferrari Challenge 296 car then is the car for the Challenge. As a round has gone, the 148 car and made contact with the barriers there, Shay.
No, that's a horrible spot to be stopped as well. Let's see if they can get the car in reverse and moving once again. That is Gomez, who is a fairly new driver to the series out of Ferrari of Houston, but not moving at the current time. Looks like might have speared off driver's right as well, Dave. It looks like there's some right rear quarter panel damage. Red flag is now out.
Yeah, and that's unquestionably the right thing to do because, as you mentioned, Shay, precisely where that car is, the oncoming traffic at speed, quite clearly the red flag had to be shown and to suspend the session. Very, very unfortunate, but as you say, there we have confirmation of the red flag. Here we can see. So basically, in my opinion, what he was doing there, Shay, was getting out of the way of all the other drivers who were on hot laps, and unfortunately, through trying to do exactly the right thing, the wheels on the grass, which still contain some moisture from yesterday, just spat the car around.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Dave. He was trying to be too nice, which is a problem for new people in racing. And with Gomez having not raced with the series prior to this season, that is going to be a lesson that he will now take with him. But yeah, just two wheels on the grass, loss of traction, and unfortunately from that point on, he was just a passenger. As red flag is out, the clock continues to count down as we are now under 13 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Matias Perez-Companc is our provisional pole sitter overall and in class for Trofeo Pirelli. Trofeo Pirelli AM, it's now the Cookie Monster. Brian Cook, race winner 3 times this year, is P4 overall, but P1 in the AM class. In Shell, still Cyril Choksi. Oh, he's going to be saying, no, you know what, guys, we can't go back to green. Red flag is fine. Let's just sit this one out. And then in Shell AM, it is Darren Bernstein. Wow, what a performance from Darren.
I agree. Well done, Darren Bernstein. P1 within Shell Am. And hello, yes, welcome to the Ferrari Challenge here in North America, and delighted that you're watching it and enjoying it as well. So, as we can see, the Gomez car will be able to right itself, and I don't think it's going to be a very, very long suspension, Shay, but what it does do for all the drivers, of course, it completely upsets their rhythm. They were in the zone. You hear this talked about a lot, but basically the driver at one with his car, in the zone, qualifying really, really well, and all of a sudden, the session gets suspended. You've come into the pit lane. You've got to pick yourself up all over again, Shay, and it's going to be, forgive me, this is an expression I use a lot, it's going to be a dash for cash with whatever time is left on the clock.
Dash for points at this stage. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The one feature about all of this that will be very happy are those Pirelli tires. They've now gotten an opportunity to cool off, maybe get that second grip of life that we know that they are so good at getting. So this could be very entertaining as far as we are concerned with tire life and seeing those faster laps, because even though Matias Perez-Companc is our provisional pole sitter with a 136.340, that's still 2/10 off the fastest lap we saw yesterday from one Dylan Medler, who, by the way, currently sits P2.
Very good point made there. Matias Companc then currently P1 in Pirelli. Pirelli Am, it's Brian Cook, who's having a fantastic season so far. Cyril Choksi besting anyone in the Shell drivers, and May I make mention of the fact that Eric Marston, who we expect to be right at the very top of the Shell timings, at the moment he's languishing, he's down there in P4. And then, as we see again, this incident that brought about the red flag, the top of the Shell Am drivers is Darren Bernstein. I feel really, really sorry for Gomez trying to do the right thing and being almost punished for doing the right thing. But Shea has said it's a lesson learned that actually you can sometimes be too nice. Now, the very car that's at the start of the queue when they get released from the pit lane again, who's it going to be? It's going to be the collection driver who's currently running P2 in this qualifying session, and that is Dylan Medler. He wants that clear tarmac ahead of him, Shea.
He does, and we mentioned it at the top of the show. Dylan Medler has gotten a lot of things this year, fast laps, race wins, yet to get that pole position, and this is going to be his best opportunity yet. As long as nobody dilly-dallies when the green flag is waved, which it should be here any second now as the engines have fired back up, Dylan Medler should have at least one clear lap.
I agree with you. Is he going to be able to maximize that? He'll certainly try and build the temperature back up into the Pirelli tyres. As Shea mentioned, it gives them another lease of life and they go through another heat cycle. And bear in mind that the tyres you qualify on are the tyres you race on in the Ferrari Challengers. Now, all the cars stream once again, and we've got, as near as makes no difference, 9 minutes of this qualifying session still to come. Hold on to your hats. This is going to be short, sharp, and thoroughly entertaining, I suspect.
Hold on to your hats, grab a bucket of popcorn, and get ready for some super fast laps because everybody is ready to perform. I mentioned it at the top of the show as well, the fact that weather has not come into play during this qualifying and will not come into play during qualifying, but it could potentially later on in the day as we are expecting showers around the 4 o'clock hour. Thankfully, we will be off the racetrack by that point, but it does mean that there could be issues for further series. Just means that clearly the gods of the universe are Ferrari fans.
Yeah, no surprise there. So there is the Jan Bernier car then. So there you can see, this is the cloud cover at the moment with a blue sky. Currently, as Shea said, the forecast is for later on this afternoon, maybe for a shower or two. Hopefully it won't impact either of our qualifying sessions or indeed our race, says he, being terribly selfish about it. But this is what we care about and this is what we're interested in. Going into the resumption of this qualifying, it is Matthias Perez-Compang who is fastest overall as we look at the number 50 car of that very man for Ferrari of Central Florida with the very garish colour scheme across the 296 car, but it looks awesome, absolutely awesome. Who is going to do it?
It's going to be an elbows out moment because right now Matthias Perez-Compang, the car that we see on screen with the light blue and the white colors representing Argentina, as well as red for Ferrari as you do, and some black thrown in there as well, versus the collections, Dylan Medler, versus, we haven't yet mentioned him, Roberto Perena is down in third position. He too has a shot at this pole position, and 2 points behind Dylan Medler means that Roberto Perena wants the pole position probably more than Dylan Medler does, if that's even possible. Musial 2.0 back in the fourth position right now, and then Michael Petramalo, only his second race weekend of the year, his second ever race weekend in the 296. He's currently P5. Martin Burrows, the hometown hero, is down in P6, and John Bennett rounding out the class in P7.
You're absolutely right. Thanks for bringing us that rundown. Of course, we have lots and lots of people really enjoying this qualifying session, and messages coming through all the time about just how interesting this is going to be. Hello, Ilaria. Yes, Matthias Perez-Compang leading for the Pirelli drivers, Pirelli Am. It's Brian Cook, the Cookie Monster. He's having a good 2024 so far. Surreal Troxy righting the wrongs of Laguna Seca leads for the Shell drivers. And then for our Shell Am drivers, it's Darren Bernstein, the Ferrari of Washington driver, who is P1 at the moment.
And now P1 overall, we mentioned it. Dylan Medler wanted it, yep. He got it. 6/10 better than what he did in any of the running yesterday. A 1:35.530. Gauntlet thrown.
I have to be honest with you, I think the intention from Dylan was made right at the start of qualifying. It was reaffirmed, if you like, following the suspension. He was as keen as mustard.
Yes, he was ready to go and try to claim this first pole position. Now, there's still 5.5 minutes remaining in this session, meaning that there are opportunities from the people chasing him to claim that back away. But there's still an opportunity for Dylan to go even faster, dare I say it.
Yes, that's a very good point, actually, yes. Everyone else will try and improve, but so too will Dylan. He's still out there, and he is going to do everything he can to shave maybe 100ths, maybe 10ths, or whatever he can. And here's Benoit Bergeron then, we can see in the number 12 car, the all-yellow Ferrari Challenge 296 then making its way around this wonderful circuit here in Montreal. Delighted, as always, to be here in support of the Formula One Grand Prix. Dylan Medler leading from Matthias Compank. Martin Burrows, as Shay said, the local hometown hero. He's currently third fastest. And Roberto Perina is fourth fastest in the Pirellis. Brian Cook is quickest for Pirelli Am. And for the Shell drivers, it remains Cyril Choksi and Darren Bernstein stays P1 in the Shell Am drivers at the moment. But we've still got 4.5 minutes to do. And a lot can happen in 4.5 minutes.
I really want this to be a good weekend for Benoit Bergeron, the car we were following around the track onto his flying lap, because Benoit came into the series with a bang. In 2021, made his debut at Sonoma, 2 races, 2 wins, but it hasn't been as good of luck since then. And as a matter of fact, he hasn't run Montreal, so this is a huge weekend for Benoit. As around goes Dave Musial Sr. Is that damage to the car, Dave?
I just looking at it, I think there is damage to that car. Well picked up, Shay. So Dave Musial, driver of the number 30 car for Ferrari of Lake Forest, has gone around, and I would suggest that he's made contact somewhere, because it just looks like there is damage to the car. You're absolutely right. Let's check it out in replay here. Talk about rubbing the barriers, Shay.
Yeah, the high line is not the optimal line, and unfortunately something caused Dave to get up into the wall on driver's left. He left his driver's side mirror on the racetrack as well. We remain green for now, as all the drivers have seen where Dave Musial is on the track, and he's parked up, as Eric Marsden has improved to the Shell pole position. Really glad to see that happening, but everyone is still green for now, still with the opportunities.
Yes, now a bit of debris has been stricken across the track as a result of Dave Musial then making contact as he did, and he really scraped along those barriers. So there is debris out there, and as we mentioned then, things are going to change all the way through until the end of this session, and continue to do so as we watch John Viscup then, the 189 driver, whose best position has been a podium, if memory serves me correctly, in the second race at COTA. The Boardwalk Ferrari driver, John Viscup, another one of the huge talented characters from the paddock. As right now I'm seeing on my tiny screen that we've got the checkered flag, so it's an earlier finish than we anticipated in the qualifying one, which means Dylan Medler, at the moment, provisional P1 for Pirelli drivers. For the AM drivers, Brian Cook. For the Shell drivers, Eric Marsden has just bested Cyril Choksi to take honours. And it's going to be Waltersdorf, Brian Waltersdorf, P1 for the Shell AM drivers, Shay.
At the line, Waltersdorf takes back the pole from Darren Bernstein. Darren is still on a fast lap, though. Let's see if he can improve. We've already had the checkered flag for Eric Marsden, and Rob McWilliams bests him. So in Shell, it just changed once again.
We did say it would change right to the very last minute. Of course, the checkered flag can come out, and that's all very well, but any driver that's on a hot lap, that lap can still and will still count, as we have just seen from Rob McWilliams. And here's Dylan Medler, who's already P1, but he's hoping to improve still further. A 1:35.530 from Dylan Medler. Quickest overall. And I think he's bailed the lap now. He's done enough.
Yep, yet to see the checkered flag, though, is Martin Burrows. Can Martin improve at all on this final lap? He did jump up to P2 a couple moments ago. Very good performance from the Quebecois.
Extraordinary stuff. Medler from Burrows. It's Cook from Brandon Cruz in Pirelli AM drivers at the moment. So we're waiting for every driver to complete. That's when you can see the checkered flag against each driver on the left-hand side, on the graphics on the left-hand side. Martin Burrows, Shay. Whoa! Way to go, Martin. A 1:35.383, a full 1.5 tenths out of the time set by Dylan Medler. I hope that I was alluding to the to the fact that I expected to see good things from Martin Burrows this weekend, and Shea, thus far, he has delivered.
I have goosebumps, Dave. What a fantastic lap from Martin Burrows. When it counted, he delivered. Martin, who got you got a second place finish in Circuit of the Americas, but 2 DNFs and a 9th place as his other finishes, knows that this is the make or break weekend for his season, and Montreal is his home track. He's looking to deliver. Last year could have been a full weekend sweep of victories. He did get the win in race number 1, a penalty that ultimately resulted in a DNF in race number 2. He's looking for revenge because this is his track, and clearly he's just reminded everyone else, Montreal, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, it's Martin Burrows' territory.
You're absolutely right. As far as Martin was concerned, following race 2, it was shoulda, woulda, coulda, and he's delivered that. And right when he needed to do it, and he didn't do it by just a tiny margin, because we are talking of a margin of 0.147, so it was a very good lap from Martin Burrows. Can take nothing away from that, and look how happy he is. It's P1 on track. It's a point, of course, banked for pole position as well, and Martin is another one of those lively characters, isn't he, Shea, around the paddock, who always says to me as I'm walking through the paddock, and doubtless he'll do it today, gave you good telly, didn't I?
Yes, he's one of those guys who's always got a smile on his face, and it looks like he's actually sacrificed his driver's side mirror on that fast lap to try and get that little bit of extra speed. Funny that, isn't it? With Dylan Medler in P2, Matthias Perez-Companc in P3. What a start to this race is it going to be as the veteran leads the youngsters into turn 1 for the first. I am so excited for race 1 now.
Oh, the young whippersnappers are going to have to do the chasing, Shea, and we love it like that. Just proves what a talent pool the Ferrari Challenge is, and can elevate so many drivers. Absolutely wonderful. Great qualifying session. Not without its drama. Suspended, of course, in the middle for just a few moments, but the drivers had got the bit between the teeth when they came out. Just to reaffirm that Martin Burrows takes P1 for the Pirelli drivers. For the Pirelli AM drivers, Brian Cook on his rich vein of form. He continues that, Pirelli AM P1, and it's a surreal Choxy that bested Rob McWilliams and Eric Marston to take P1 for the Shell drivers, and for the Shell AM drivers, well, it was Darren Bernstein for Ferrari of Washington, who right at the very end of the session managed to reclaim that P1 position with a 1:39.664. So there we have it then. The qualifying done and dusted. Of course, a pole position point awarded to each of the drivers that take P1 in their categories. And if we could write a script for race number 1, I don't think, Shea, we could have written it much better than this one.
Nope, I love the results. I love the variety that we've got at the head of each of the categories. We've got some perennial favorites who maybe haven't had the best luck this year. We've got drivers who have really shown their true color this year. Everybody mixing it up at the head of the grid, and nobody truly out of place. So I really like to see this, and I'm very excited for race number 1 to get started this afternoon, especially knowing that it's dry, meaning that we are going to get good, clean, pure Ferrari racing.
I completely agree with you, as I so often do. But nonetheless, I think everything is set nicely for the race to come. So qualifying 1 done and dusted. We do have another qualifying session to come, and that qualifying session, Quali 2, will set the grid for race 2, which comes tomorrow. But qualifying 1 and setting the grid for race 1 is done, and there you can see the cars making their way back to their paddock here in Montreal. So very much hope you enjoyed qualifying 1 as much as Shea and I did, and thank you so much for watching. We are going to be back with Quali 2 at 10:15 local time, and the race action to follow this afternoon. From Shea and from myself, thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.